G'day guys, Weirman here. Welcome back to the workshop.
I've infiltrated
He's
again.
infiltrated again. Technically, I'm forcing him to do this one because I've had my eye on these guys for quite a while, and I thought, well, we may as well work it into a workshop video. It's going to be a little bit of a long one, so buckle in. We are going to cover tripod mechs. You're excited, I can tell you're excited. Come on, buddy.
He's been talking it up, and I have sort of had a little bit of a glance, but I haven't had like a full look. But Tarron has. So yeah, he's just convinced that this is the bee's knees, so let's have a look.
I think they're brilliant. And we're kind of covering this because eventually we're going to have to do Super-Heavies, and two of the Super-Heavies, the Ares and the Poseidon, are actually tripods.
Yeah.
So we may as well just do this. So technically they're a very, very early one, but they're also a very, very late stage one as far as the timeline goes. 2585 is when the Hedgehog was first developed.
Wow.
The Hedgehog is the first ever tripod mech, but you won't find it with like a record sheet or anything, I don't think, because I think it was built in Sana as like a prototype thing that never really took off.
Oh, okay.
So they did it, they tried it, everybody looked at it and went, yeah, it's cool, but it's a little bit complicated. Why don't we just do stompy big robots? And it didn't really take off after that.
Yeah. So
then it came back around 31, 35, and that was when the Super-Heavies really came into their thing. So the Triskelion, which is the only other tripod one that you'll really find, I think when you look them up, there's only four. There's the Ares, the Poseidon, the Hedgehog, and the Triskelion. The Hedgehog doesn't really exist as a record sheet. The two of them are Super-Heavy, so the Triskelion is the only one that's like a normal weight tripod. Okay? And that's from 3146 and onwards. So they're pretty late stage. But technically, you could call them very early stage because the SLDF and all that bollocks. So 2585 in the Terran hegemony.
Okay, so right. Yeah. So basically the first expansion.
The first expansion of people, if I remember correctly, is like that was their thing. So yeah, they tried it out, they went, yeah, that's cool, but it's a bit overcomplicated, so let's not worry about it. Which is weird.
They said that about lambs as well, didn't they? And how they're very, very cool. But that's all right. There's always these little things, these other little technology that's part of BattleTech that it's referred to, but nothing's ever come about.
You don't really see it out on the battlefield much, like in the.
It's not in a lot of the novels or the computer games or anything like that.
No, and you don't see it on the tabletop at all, really. Like I say, the only mini I've ever seen is the Triskelion and the two Super-Heavies. So
yeah,
I mean, you could develop one and then just pretend the Triskelion is the one that you wanted. For anybody who's interested, these are in Interstellar Operations, by the way, just in case.
Which is an amazing book.
Yeah,
too.
It's all
filled with
all the timeline type techs. So if you've got something that happened really, really early on in the timeline, then it's probably in here. If you happen something that's really late and a bit weird, it's probably in here. Things like nuclear weapons and thermobaric weapons and then on to like lambs and quad Vs and all that sort of stuff. They're all in here. But tripods. So tripods is like a standard bipedal torso, right? So he's up there. He's got his two arms. He's got his head. He's got his chest and all that jazz. But he's got one front leg and two side legs. Okay, so that's all the difference that there is. Having that, I'm not necessarily going to do this in order because some of the things are funkier than others, and I want to go through the build up here.
Okay,
so
no, fair enough.
In combat, your tripod has a theoretical 360-degree firing arc, so it can torso twist in any direction it wants.
Oh, handy.
Okay, so because it's got that stable platform with the three legs and then the torso's attached at the top, it can just spin its torso to wherever it needs to be, get its front facing wherever it wants it to be, and it doesn't have a problem with rear arcs and all that sort of stuff. So you can do a 180 with your thing. It's just like a turret. So your whole torso rotates like a turret, basically.
Yes.
Okay, which is pretty cool. The legs just tend to realign when it's moving. So you can do this during the combat phase. You can just turn to wherever you want to be. Always considers its central legs facing to beginning at the front hex side of the unit, with the left leg facing considered to begin 2 hex sides left of the front, and the right's 2 hex sides right of the front.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
And then they radiate outwards in the same manner. So you've got your 3 hex front arc, and wherever you end up facing that's considered your front leg. So that the record sheet actually has an extra leg. So it's got a center leg, left leg, right leg.
Right.
Okay, so you have to keep a different record sheet for these guys, which is sucky, but there you go. Such is life. One of the downsides of the fact that they are so uniquely balanced and stabilized with the 3 legs, and they've got all the turning bits and things, is it makes physical attacks actually harder to do. So because you're so stable, because you're so difficult to tip over and things, it makes it harder for you to get the funkiness with like a swing of a hatchet or a thrust of a sword or a kick or anything like that, right? It makes it harder.
Because it's focusing so hard on
keeping itself stable.
Stable.
When you try and do these things that maybe involve you going, like that, and it makes it harder to do. So you lose a degree of flexibility when it comes to physical combat. To reflect these limitations, tripod units may only engage in physical attacks against targets that lie within their front firing arc, as defined by whichever direction their torso is rotated to at the time of the physical attack phase. This means that tripods cannot attempt the rear kick available to 4-legged mechs, and they can't attempt punches or other physical attacks against targets in their side arcs.
Right.
So you are only allowed to attack people in your front arc. And since you've got a 360-degree front arc, you're not too badly off. But it is a thing to remember.
Right.
So,
but no actual penalties to do.
No numerical penalties, but you can't punch someone in the left arm arc, right? Because you have to face in that front,
the front,
right?
Okay.
So you can't have that one. I think it's 1 hex that's to the left side, or is it 2 hexes that's the left side? I think
2. There's 2 on your sides.
So
okay.
But there's one that isn't also the front. So there's one that's after the front. You can't punch someone out to the side. So
that's interesting.
It's interesting. It's a little bit of a downside, but it's not a problem.
It's called jump jets. Gets you wherever you need to go. It lines up perfectly.
It's a 360-degree firing arc is what it is. Wow. So provided you've got all 3 legs and suffer no critical hits to your hips, a prone tripod mech only applies a +1 modifier for weapon attacks and can use all weapons located in its torsos, head, and both arms.
While it's prone.
Oh! Normal mechs, in case we haven't covered this, will get a +2, and I'm pretty sure you can only use one side.
It's like your torso.
Yeah, so one side's holding you up and the other side can shoot, sort of thing. With these guys, as long as you've got all 3 of your legs and you don't have any hip problems, you can fire basically everything at a +1.
Oh, nice.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh.
If you do have a hip or lost at least 1 leg, then you have to follow standard rules.
Okay.
So you get the +1, +2 and all that.
So level 1 hills are your friends.
Yes.
Protect your legs.
Especially for other things, because they are allowed to, and I'll jump to this because we're going to do leg locations in a sec. So you know your beloved quad mechs?
Yes. Yes, they're amazing.
Your beloved quad mechs can lateral shift and hold down.
Yes.
So can tripods. So you can execute a lateral shift exactly as for a 4-legged mech with the same movement point cost, and you can also perform the hold down maneuver available to 4-legged mechs. So the lateral shift we covered, I'm fairly certain, You can go back and have a look for that one, but it's in Total Warfare around page 50-ish. And the hold down is one that we covered in one of them workshop videos, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We did hold down.
I'm pretty sure we did, okay.
But that's in TAC Ops on page 21, just in case you're wondering. But basically, it just gives you a better firing stance and lets you maneuver easier. I mean, it's not that big a deal. I still don't...
I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day. Like if you're making like a 1 hex sidestep, then you've got like a one movement point benefit. But if you take too many of the side steps, it ends up costing you more. You're better off just turning your face and...
Yeah, well, that's... I mean...
But from like maneuvering through canyons and all that sort of thing, and you have a look at the majority of the printed maps that Catalyst has done, and sidestepping is really, really handy. There's so many situations where just being able to sidestep to keep you facing is just so good. But basically, you spend 2 movement points to step into the left or right side locations of your hex that you're in. So instead of turning 1, moving 1, and then turning back again, spending 3 to keep your original facing, you're just spending 2 and you just sidestep.
And it doesn't cost you any extra to go backwards?
No, it's just sidestep. So you go forward or back.
But it is considered backward movements, which means you wouldn't be able to go up or down, and you'd have to walk rather than run.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. I always thought the backwards movement cost you even more, but that's pretty cool. So they can do that too.
Which is that's really nice. That's really nice.
That's not bad.
Really nice ability.
But
so now you've got all those benefits plus 360 degree.
360 degree firing. Well, you can rotate your torso 360 degrees.
Yeah.
So in that combat phase, you can say, well, I'm going to face this way. And it doesn't matter where you say, you can do it.
You can, yeah.
Right, with the bipedal mechs, you can only turn 1 hex to each side. So it's like, it works.
Yeah.
You can get an arm and a torso into the rear arc, and that works. But these guys can just bring their full arsenal to bear on any location they want.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, there are units that are designed to, go after other units in the rear. They've got the speed and they've got the hard-hitting capability. So something like that would be very handy.
Yeah, these boys are not at home to Mr. Rear fire.
Okay.
They do not take that. They will not have you have that. That is not cool. You are not going to be able to get behind one of these, because that is just, you just turn around and go, well, I can shoot you now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So,
thinking something like the Tarantula quad built like this, because you have a look at it, physically it should be able to do, a full rotation thing. But
I've been trying to modify a Wraith, because I love the Wraith. I reckon the Wraith is great. I've been trying to modify the Wraith to a tripod.
Oh.
Something along those lines. Something that's fast, mobile, and that has like a lot of pulse tech and things like that. I reckon that'd kick ass as a tripod.
So fast moving, agile, hits, strike, no ammo, no real heat issues per se.
Yep. Speaking of hits, you do have 3 legs, so they have a bit of funkiness with leg hit locations.
Yeah.
So when you take a hit to the leg, you roll a d6, you get a +1 if it's from the left, a -1 if it's from the right, 0 to 2 it hits the right leg, 3 or 4 it hits the center leg, 5 to 7 it hits the left leg. Okay, so you're modifying it up if it comes from the left, and that means you're more likely to hit either the center or the left.
I see.
And you modify it down if it's from the right, so you're more likely to hit the center or the right.
Okay.
Excess damage to the center leg transfers directly to the center torso. Which is not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. But it makes sense as part of the design, doesn't it?
But it isn't a good thing. Excess damage to the other legs go to the appropriate torso. But that's a bit of a downside.
Damn.
Mind you, the fact that these are, the Triskelion is a 75 tonner and the others are 150 or whatever it is they are. So, and the Hedgehog doesn't have a record sheet. So, But it is a downside. I won't do pilot damage because there's something funky with pilots. So let's talk about movement, because these things can move. Okay, these guys are good. As long as a tripod mech possesses 3 undestroyed legs, it receives all of the benefits that I'm about to go down. Now, lateral shift and hold down is one of these.
Yep.
1 or more tripod legs be destroyed, it will immediately fall in accordance with standard rules for leg destruction, lose all of the movement benefits that I'm about to describe, and its remaining movement and piloting modifiers will be the same as those of a biped mech that has suffered a destroyed leg.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's a little weighty, but basically it means while you've got all your legs, you can do the funky stuff. If you lose a leg, you turn into what is essentially a bipedal mech with a lost leg.
Yeah.
Which means your
balance is all out of
5.
You're +5.
So +5 to your piloting checks, and you have to make... Oh no, that's gyros. I think if you
run, you've got to do a
you've got to do a check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jump. Anyway.
All other movement rules governing mechs apply to tripods, but they have some funky stuff. So lateral shift and hold down, we went through. You get them. Piloting skill rolls. Apply a -1 target modifier to all piloting skill rolls made to avoid falls or to stand up after falling or dropping prone.
Nice.
I'm thinking of you, Keith.
You should be thinking of me as well, because it has happened.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. I'm just picking on him. But yeah, that -1 for avoiding falls, standing up, or to stand up after falling or dropping prone. So if you are avoiding a fall or you're trying to stand up afterwards, you get a -1 automatically. As long as you've got all your legs, you're fine.
Yeah. So the quads give you a -2.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what their bonus was, and I couldn't be bothered to look it up because I knew you'd know.
Yeah. But it's so that's nice though. I mean, a -1.
Not bad.
It's yeah.
And you'll see it's actually even better, but. Yeah, that -1 is pretty good. Now, this is one that I don't remember if I mentioned it to you or not, but I may have misrepresented it. I gave this a quick skim and I thought it was awesome, amazing. Now I've gone through and read it properly. It's still really, really, really cool. They're facing changes. So what happens is you can 360-degree torso twist, right? You've got a turret for a torso. So what they do is they just turn their torso to the facing that they want to go, and then the legs just reorient as they move. Right? So the practical upshot of that is that you only have to spend 1 movement point and you can change your facing any number of hex sides in any direction. So instead of a full 180 costing you 3, because you're facing front, you go 1, 2, 3 to go 180.
Yeah.
Instead of 3, it costs you 1.
You just go 1.
You say one movement point, pick a facing, and go. Now, I originally read that as they didn't have to spend the 1 to change facing, but that would have been insane. But you have to spend 1 to change your facing any number of turns, any number of faces. So that's still really cool. So yeah, that's while you've got those legs all intact, undestroyed, and you're doing okay, you can move like...
Oh my gosh.
That is really, really cool.
That would look like something out of a horror movie, wouldn't it? Can you imagine being an infantryman and seeing one of those for the first time? Moving like that?
Well, that's all you're doing is your torso is just swinging around and you're pushing forward, and as you move, your legs just kind of reorient as you're moving, and you end up with the center one in the center, and you just...
I've got the Protoss in my head. You know, the big tall walker things that could go up and down elevation and all that sort of thing.
I was thinking the Martian tripods, but
that
works
same
too.
Thing too.
Same diff. Yeah. But it's kind of like this thing just swings around and looks at you and then just starts coming at you, and it's like, what are you doing?
Oh man.
And you can lateral shift. So you can really move. I mean, the Triskelion, I'm going to have to keep coming back to this because it's the only real example I have. I'll bring the Ares and the Poseidon up in a minute and we'll give them a bit of a comparison. But It's a 75-tonner with an XL engine that lets it go 5.8.
Okay.
And now you don't have to worry about ever like walking backwards if you don't want to. Because
you just turn around.
You pay one movement point, you spin it around 180, you run off, and then at the end of it, you pay one more movement point and spin back. So it's really good. You can lateral shift along the way for extra. You can do whatever. That's what I mean. Something like a Wraith, like a high light to low medium mech that's like scout, infiltrator, striker, cavalry type thing that got good solid movement with some reasonable weapons, but not overly like it's not horribly beweaponed. It's just got some really good accurate weapons that don't necessarily take ammo and stuff. You'd kill as a tripod. You would kill. It's really good. I like it.
It's so versatile, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's probably going to get better. So tripods, when you're constructing your tripods, they all, whether they're standard weight or super heavies or super lights or whatever it is, they all get a special cockpit. Okay, so the standard weight, the standard cockpit is 3 tons.
Yes.
The standard weight tripod cockpit is 4 tons, and the standard the super heavy tripod is 5 tons.
5 tons.
5 tons.
That's a lot of leg room. That's what you want. Eh?
But they need it because there's 2 people in a standard one and 3 in the super heavy. They all come with multi-person cockpits.
The leg room's just gone.
Yeah, leg room's gone. So you have to fit like command couches in around the thing. So that's why they're bigger. But what that gives you is non-super heavy tripods. Standard weight tripods have 2. They have a dedicated pilot and a dedicated gunner. The super heavies also get a dedicated technical officer. So like a TAC ops guy.
Oh, right? Okay.
So dedicated pilot gives you a permanent, while he's alive and conscious, right? It gives you a permanent -1 target modifier to all piloting skill checks, including those made for physical attacks when operating the tripod mech. This modifier is cumulative with normal modifiers for super heavies, as well as the -1 for mech piloting skills, which I went over in the movement thing.
Oh.
So as long as you have all 3 of your legs and you have your dedicated pilot alive and conscious, you have a permanent -2 to getting up and avoiding falls, and a permanent -1 to everything else. Which is pretty damn cool, if you ask me. If the pilot is disabled in any way, shape or form, then the gunnery officer, the equipment gunnery officer can take over, or the inner super heavy, the technical guy can take over.
Okay.
But you lose that -1 and it actually gives you a +2 overall.
No.
Right, because they're not
the way.
They don't have the right equipment, they're not in the right thing, they're not the right guy, right? This guy is dedicated pilot. He is focused only on getting them where they need to go the right way, facing the right way, all that jazz. And the other guy is targeting, and the other guy is like TAC ops.
Yeah, okay.
So if you do lose your pilot, you are in some serious trouble. But while you've got him, you're kicking butt.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess the next obvious question is, because we're talking about pilots, how do you lose them? How does pilot damage actually work in this?
So the tripod mech's dedicated pilot, or whichever pilot is presently handling the piloting skill checks. So if the dedicated pilot goes down somehow, then the gunnery officer, or in a super heavy, the technical officer, become the de facto pilot.
Okay.
Right? You get a +2. But whoever's currently the dedicated pilot is the only one that suffers damage as a result of ammo explosions. Pilot hits due to heat effects and damage to the head, meanwhile, will apply to all crewmen in the tripod's cockpit.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
In the event of a fall, each crewman has to make separate piloting skill checks to avoid taking damage. applying any modifiers appropriate to both the mech and the crewman, making the piloting skill check as appropriate.
Oh my gosh.
So if the dedicated pilot is killed or rendered unconscious, another crewman can automatically take over. If all crewmen in a tripod's cockpit are killed or the cockpit critical slot is destroyed, it's considered destroyed per the standard gameplay rules. So,
wow.
If you're getting ammo explosions, then your dedicated pilot is the only one that has a problem. If you're taking heat effect or damage to the head, it goes to everybody. And in the event of a fall, you have to make a separate check for each one. Okay. But while you've got your legs, you get a standard -1 to that anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Right, so...
I'm going to say, right, the best way to take them out is to get to the pilot. So what do? Physical attacks. Oh, hang on. Now they've got all these bonuses. And good luck trying to catch it.
I think the best way is just to run some battle armor up there and shoot through the cockpit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
So in standard weight tripods, they also have a dedicated gunnery officer. Now, I was hoping this would be cooler. You're going to say, that's nice, right? But the other guys out there, the newer players, might not know what this actually means straight away. So I'm going to go through it a bit. As long as the tripod has its dedicated gunner and he's not knocked out or dead or anything like that, it may select up to 3 primary targets per turn before incurring the secondary target modifier.
Oh.
I knew you'd like that. I was sure you'd like that. I'm like, he's gonna love this. Look at that. So, if the gunnery officer is taken out, then one of the others can carry on, but it loses the ability to do that. It has to have a 1 primary target, and it suffers an additional +2 to hit number modifier when making all weapon attacks.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, but 3 primary targets. Normally, you would pick 1 primary target, and then every target after that gets a +1 to the 2 hit number. Any target behind you that you dedicate as a secondary target gets a +2, right?
Yeah.
It's +2 for rear.
Yeah.
You can pick 3 primary targets. They do not get any modifier. There's no modifier. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can pick 3 targets and classify them as primary as long as your gunnery officer is conscious and alive.
It's so good.
That is really good.
That's so good.
And I mean, we just went through the weaponry on the Triskelion, and I'm sure Adam's going to go, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, the Super-Heavies also have a 3rd dedicated officer. So they have the dedicated technical officer. So while you've got your Super-Heavy with his technical officer, you get a +2 modifier to all rolls made to avoid shutdown and ammunition explosions from excess heat. Also, he doubles as tactical support for the team and awards a +1 initiative modifier for the Super-Heavy tripod side in the scenario. If you designate that unit as the command unit, then you get a +2 to your initiative. Obviously, you can only have 1 command, and you don't get a modifier for like every Super-Heavy in the game, every Super-Heavy tripod in the game. You only get, so this initiative modifier is not cumulative. More than 1 Super-Heavy tripod mech is present.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. All
right.
Oh man.
But it gives you, I mean, there's no reason for you not to designate the Super-Heavy tripod with the designated officer as your command unit. I mean, unless you've got some real reason not to, you would make that your command unit. It's most likely going to be the only one you got because I'm pretty sure they're fairly expensive.
Yeah.
And it will give you a +2 to your initiative.
Oh, man.
It will also give you a +2 for every time you have to avoid shutting down or ammo explosions.
Ammo explosions, nice.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
So you could even like risk carrying Inferno rounds on there. You know?
Yeah,
because you've got that little bonus there. It's not quite so little. It's 2 points. 2 points is good on 2d6.
Yeah. And especially in the lower brackets of the like overheat thing, where you're only having to roll like 4s and 6s and things, or 6s and 8s. It's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, it's nothing to sniff at.
But it means that if you're getting surrounded and you have to sort of risk it a bit, you've got a little bit of a buffer there.
Yeah. So you can push these guys just that little bit further and with the dedicated gunnery officer and all the extra funky stuff you can do with the movement and stuff, there's no reason not to load these guys down and have them just pummel people, especially the Super-Heavies, because they're the ones that have that.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that's absolutely clear, the standard weight guys have a pilot and a gunnery officer. Only the Super-Heavies get the technical officer. Okay, just to be sure. But still, very cool. Very, very cool. It weighs a little more when you're trying to make your when you're trying to build your tripod. So it costs you 4 tons instead of 3 tons. But the benefits there, I reckon, are worth an extra ton.
That's great. That's
very
great.
Worth an extra ton.
Yeah. What an interesting Solaris unit.
Yeah, well, that's it.
You could do something with that.
You make like a 60-ish ton behemoth-y type thing that just mashes people with close range weapons.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. So it's worth pointing out that when you are constructing them, you can't take any other type of cockpit. So you can't do small, compact, extra light, any of that stuff, right? You can't do any of those. You have to take a tripod cockpit. If you're doing design quirks, you're allowed to take the rumble seat or the cramped cockpit, which gives you various bits and pieces that happen. The rumble seat, I think, just lets you take an extra person or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so distributed equipment was the other thing. So you have to, for special equipment that needs to be spread across multiple body sections, such as stealth armor, the blue shield particle field dampener, and the chameleon light polarization shield, the use of a tripod structure requires additional critical slots for those items. These extra slots must be allocated to the tripod's center leg in accordance with the item's construction rules. So there are some things that each location on the mech has to have a specific number of critical hit locations taken up by certain people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you get them and you put them into your tripod, then you have to add extra in to the center leg, and that's it. That's all you got. That's the only construction things. The center leg receives the same number of internal structure points as the other 2 legs. The total weight of the internal structure has to be increased by 10% to the nearest half ton.
Right. Okay.
So that covers 20%. That extra leg that it's got. So yeah.
Okay.
It gets the same internal structure, and you have to up it by 10% for the weight, and that's about it. But I like that. Yeah. I really, really like that. That 360 degree. So the Triskelion here is a...
Whoops.
The hell was that? I don't know. Oh, I think it was the power for the PC, for the laptop. I think it was just the PC for the laptop. Yeah, it's just the power. So I've moved this a little closer so you can see. So the Triskelion is a 75-ton tripod, obviously, 2,702 BV. So they are not cheap in any sense of the word, because they're 20,977,000. It's listed as a brawler. It's a 581, which we've already gone through. It's got 15 double heat sinks, the tripod cockpit, and a standard gyro. Almost full coverage of a ferrofibrous armor. Nice solid coverage on everything there. Is a mixed tech unit. So they use clan weaponry. So all of the weapons are clan. So there's 4 ER medium lasers in the arms, 2 in each. And then each torso has an LRM-15.
So if it doesn't move, doesn't do anything else, it's fine for heat.
Yeah.
It fires everything.
So 10, 20, yeah, exactly the 30 that it needs.
Wow.
They're all 5 heat each. It's got 4 tons of ammo for the for the LRMs, but they're all fitted with, well, they're both fitted with Artemis 5. For those of you who don't know, we're going to go through these again in a bit. I think I've got an Electronica podcast type thing lined up, I think. But just for now, it gives you a -1 to your target number and a +3 to the cluster roll. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. Both of the torsos are protected with Case 2, which we've gone through previously. Has a Guardian ECM suite and a targeting computer, an Inner-Sphere targeting computer for some reason.
Because, I don't know.
just
Maybe where it was
cause,
made.
Yeah, probably.
But having ECM is good. You know, I used to go, look, there's 1.5 tons and stuff that I could put to something else, but it really is a handy piece of equipment to have on a Mech, eh?
If you are doing any sort of, like, if your opponents ever take any Electronica, like Narc pods and Artemis and things like that, then an ECM suite is really, really handy.
Yeah.
It's not always necessarily the best use of your weight and space, but it can come in clutch sometimes. It's pretty good. But that gives him, what are the ER? Clan ERs are 7, aren't they? Medium lasers?
7 damage. Yeah.
Down
to 15 or something.
So that gives him 4 of those and 2 LRM-15s, and they're clans, so they don't have a minimum range. And you can see there his cockpit, 4 tons.
4, yeah.
So the ER medium clan, 7 damage, 5 heat, and out to 15. And then the LRM-15s are 21, obviously, but yeah.
It always makes me sad when I see that, because I really like the standard large laser for the Inner-Sphere. Like, when you're looking at Inner-Sphere tech, you go, look, the large laser is a pretty good choice, and then you look at this.
And you go...
7 damage for only 5 heat for the same rate. And it's 1 ton. 1 slot, 1 ton.
And you just go, get stuffed, you clanner scumbag.
I
Because the Inner-Sphere one is 8 tons, 8 damage for 8 heat. And it's 5 tons.
5 tons and 2 slots or something.
2 slots, which is ridiculous. But that guy he's looking like super good with all of these bonuses, with the lateral shift, the hull down, his 360-degree firing arc, 3 primary targets as long as his gunnery officer is up. That is not bad at all. I just want to have a quick look at the Ares here. So they're 135 tons, the Ares. We won't go into the super heavy thing at this point, but knowing they're a tripod, it might help to kind of get you understanding what's happening there. So they're a 2-3 because they're huge.
It's really slow.
And it's really hard to find any speed out of these guys. But you don't really need them when you've got a 360-degree field of fire and this sort of weaponry.
Oh my gosh. Center leg, though. 56 armor.
Yeah, so 56 armor on each leg.
Wow.
456 armor out of a possible 461. And he's got 18 double. So
18 double heat sinks.
36 heat dissipation. And he needs it, but he's got it. So most of the weaponry is clan, I think. But so clan, he's got 3 ER medium pulse lasers, an ER medium laser, and an ER small laser in each torso, and then an ER small laser in the center torso. And then Inner-Sphere tech, he's got an LRM-5 and an SRM-2 in each torso, like right and left, and then a SRM in the center, SRM-2 in the center torso. He's also got an improved heavy Gauss rifle in the right arm. Now, some of the more astute of you might realise that the improved heavy Gauss rifle, I don't think you're technically allowed to put it in an arm. Technically. I think the heavy Gauss rifle you have to put into a torso. It takes up like the whole torso and sort of like
and then
pops the arm off. It's that.
It's big.
Super-Heavies bypass that. They don't have to worry about it. So you can put an improved heavy Gauss rifle into one arm, which is ridiculous.
Why stop at 1? Why stop at one,
they did
Tarron?
stop at one.
Well, they did, but that's their fault.
Yeah.
They're not thinking like a Lyran, you know?
Yeah. So it's worth noting that everything except the ER medium pulse lasers and the improved heavy Gauss are fixed weapons, and those are pod space.
Whoa. So there's other variants of it.
There's heaps of variants of this.
Whoa,
there's like half a dozen, but it's pretty good. There's 1 ton of LRM5 ammo, 1 ton of SRM2 ammo, and then he's got 6 tons of improved heavy Gauss ammo. He's got
lots of anti-personnel pods.
2 per leg.
Yeah.
From what I can... Yeah, so 2 on each leg, anti-personnel pods. And then all of his stuff is covered by Case 2. And he can carry battle armor because he's a Omni.
He can...
It's technically an Omni. It's an Innisphere Omni. It's a mixed base Omni, but it is technically an Omni, so it can carry battle armor into battle.
You could fit multiple units on there. That thing's monstrous. You could put the Protomechs on there if the clan ever built one.
And now, remember the tripod rules. That weaponry, you can pick up to 3 units as primary targets.
Yeah.
And don't get a penalty to shoot them.
Just shoot it, whoever you
get
want.
A permanent -2 as long as your pilot is alive to avoid falling over or to stand up if you have fallen over or gone prone. You get a permanent -1 for every other piloting skill check. I mean, you can face any direction you want, and it only costs you 1 MP to change your direction in the movement phase.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, these guys need that because they're only 2-3s. The Super-Heavies are not fast. But you don't need to be.
If you use them in defense, if the enemy's coming to you, they're ideal.
These guys, you sit them on a hill and you wait for people to walk into your field of fire, and you just go, "Well, you're dead."
I'm going to make you disappear.
Are you not standing next to a hill? Oh well.
Too many blips on my screen. Got to thin it out a bit. You know,
gonna waste that. Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh gosh.
So
the miniatures for the Ares and everything is really nice. Ironwind Metals, they currently make them, and they're nice, big, sort of chunky model. You know, they look really good.
Have you still got these in? Because I'm sure I've seen them on the Alpha Strike.
Yeah. They're still available and stuff.
So the Poseidon is 125, so he's a little smaller than his big brother. Classed as a Juggernaut. But he's a 3-5 instead of a 2-3.
There you go.
So that's pretty good. 40 heat dissipation with 20 double heat sinks. 384 out of 431 armor. So he's only got 40 each armor in his legs, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But...
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got
a fair amount of guns.
He's got an ER-PPC, well, 2 ER-PPCs clan variants in the left arm. He's got an MRM-20 and a TSEMP cannon in the right arm. Left torso and right torso both have an ER medium laser clan and an ER small laser clan, an LRM-5 and an SRM-2 from the Innisphere. So that's each torso, and then the center torso has an SRM-2, and then there's an ER small laser in the center torso as well.
Oh.
He's got 2 tons of MRM ammo, 1 ton of SRM-2, and 1 ton of LRM-5. He's gone again for the 6 anti-personnel pods because the Super-Heavies get... infantry attacking Super-Heavies get bonuses because they're so big.
Yeah.
So the anti-personnel pods make sense when you know that. This makes absolute sense for them to do this.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there weren't variants with B pods on there as well.
That would be a good option as well, for sure.
That MRM has the Apollo system, which basically just takes away the +1 that you get for MRMs.
That's nice.
Which is pretty cool.
That is nice.
And it's got Clan Case 2 covering all of its ammo as well. And that one is actually more expensive C-bill wise than the Ares that we looked at. That's 37 and a bit million.
Yeah.
But 3,357 BV. Which I'm sure I could take really good force for like 3,357 BV, but I don't think I could take a force that would stand up to this very well.
Is it Poseidon worthy? That's the thing.
I mean, you could probably get a couple of awesomes that are firing away, but this guy's got clan PPC, so he outdistances you anyway. He doesn't have to get close to you if he doesn't want to. And with the 3-5, and like I said, all the movement bonuses for tripods apply.
Right. Yeah.
So he's tripods. I love them. I reckon they're cool. Great.
But those are technically experimental. So you won't see those rocking up at tournaments and things like that. Well, you shouldn't.
You're not ever going to see a tripod in a tournament. I don't think they're very, very experimental and very, very niche.
They sound like fun. It's like something you could, maybe a scenario, just a one-off scenario or something. Or if you're doing a campaign, maybe you could just throw it in as like, we discovered this interesting little experiment going on.
Well, that's a while ago when we were talking about doing a co-op thing and having the AI run the enemies.
Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned something about a super heavy going bananas, like having an AI in the super heavy and have the AI go fat crap crazy. And then, I thought, well, maybe I could build a couple of tripods that are like AI controlled and we could battle against them sort of thing. But I don't know how we would actually go about that. So maybe I'll just build them and shoot you with them.
Go up against quads. We'll go up against some quads.
I was going to
really make it a wild.
You take your quads, I'll take my tripods, and we'll see who comes out on top here. But the quads are an acceptable, like, I'm pretty sure you can take them in like tournaments and things like that. I don't think they're terribly niche or experimental, but the tripods are really out on the outer. Like, they're way out there. So, if you've got Solaris well, actually, I don't know if Solaris would let you build a tripod. Honestly, I haven't looked. I probably should.
Well, the old box set didn't really sort of go into tripods back then, I don't think.
No. So, but yeah, you might be able to find them on Solaris, you might not. But they are on Megamech. It can accommodate tripods. So if you guys are on Megamech and playing Megamech, then like even if you're just like me and you're using the Megamech lab to build stuff and to print out record sheets, then you can make tripods. No. So Triskelion isn't coming up. So is any tech, any era, any rules level, any mech, or any type of mech, any motive system. Yep. And Triskelion is not coming up.
No, I don't remember seeing it on there either.
So they're only concerned with bipeds and quads. They don't have tripods on there.
Yeah.
So, still really good system if you're using it.
Oh, definitely.
Get stuck in. But these guys are, I think, worth a bit of a dabble, really, if you can find someone who'll let you play them.
But that's what it is, the BattleTech lends really well to having some interesting scenarios. It will improve your games immensely.
And if you've got a copy of Interstellar Ops, then if you just have access to one as a group sort of thing, like your group has someone in it with Interstellar Ops, then ask them if you can have a quick look, type these rules out or like scan the page or something and give them a crack, because there's some really cool stuff there.
Yeah.
I think they're brilliant. Even just the 360-degree firing arc and a dedicated pilot and gunnery officer is worth it.
That's right.
But that being able to like facing change for one and just go wherever you want, and you can lateral shift and hold down, and you get a -1 for all your fall down and
everything else.
Oh God, it's really good.
It's nice, yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah, no, very good. Wow, no, thanks for sharing that, man. That's really good.
Thank you for finally letting me. Because now that we've talked about it officially, I'm allowed to use them in our games. Those are the rules. That's how that works. You don't get to be mean about it. I'm going to make myself
written in the red crayon.
Yeah, that's it. In biro, Mike. In biro over the top of the print. hit. Where's it? Hit Rick over the head with the bank. Yeah, that was it. Oh dear. All right. Well, that was tripods, guys. Hopefully, I didn't butcher them too badly. They are well worth a look. I've mentioned this before, but I mean, sometimes our rules are going to be older or out of date or whatever it is that happens. So, if you are interested in these, have a look at any current copy of Interstellar Operations that you can find, and feel free to chuck a comment down if something has changed drastically, because that'll let anyone else who's interested know to keep an eye out for it. But I think that's about it. Now that I've drooled all over tripods, we can move on. All good?
All right.
All good.
Bye.
All right. See you guys.